Have y'all seen this? A lawmaker in Missouri with uterus is trying to make sure that other people with uteruses in Missouri will be punished if they try to get an abortion outside of Missouri. Now, abortion is not outlawed in Missouri yet. You can still get one up until 22 weeks, but they're trying to outlaw it like altogether. All of these abortion bans are getting out of control. And you know why they're doing this? Because of capitalism. Yes, literally everything is about capitalism because everything under capitalism is exploitation of working class people. Now, millennials and Gen Z are having less children because we can't afford them because, 2 recessions, a pandemic, low wage jobs, etc. So they're going to force us to have children even if we can't afford them or we don't want them. And even if we become poor, they're like, sorry, we're in the bad place.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Honey Badger Radio. My name is Brian. I am here with Allison, and I decided to add an HBR to the beginning, so it's HBR dating, but it's still just dating. Where we're going to be looking at more articles about women who are troubled and lonely and gorgeous and can't figure out what's wrong. And maybe we can help them if they happen across our video and they're actually interested in taking an active role in improving their own life. And I say this with no sarcasm. Like I want people to find love because I think it is a good thing. But unfortunately, most of us have been lied to about it. And in this particular case, and in many of the cases we're looking at, especially women. So anyway, Allison, how are you doing? Allison, are you there? Allison, are you muted or something? Can you hear me? Allison's in here, but she's not saying anything for some reason.
Oh, here I am.
What's going on?
I actually honestly don't know. My earphones just cut out completely for no apparent reason.
All right.
Yeah, I apologize that. Did you want me to do my spiel? Is it time for that?
Yeah,
okay,
it's time for that. Yes.
It's time, folks. Okay, so if you enjoy this continent of interesting ideas that are completely unexplored, if you enjoy this content, please go to feedthebadger.com and consider supporting us with a subscription or a one-time support option. We've also got our monthly fundraiser open, which allows us to continue to bring this content and helps Brian, Prim, and Hannah be able to do said content. So that's feedthebadger.com/project/badger-media-blitz. And yeah, I think that's good.
All right. And
most
also,
people want to hear me stumble over the word content again.
Are you content with our content? Go over to Feed the Badger.
With our content? Oh God, that's good. That's good.
It is pretty good, isn't it? Okay, so I noticed that some people are asking if we are back on YouTube. Yes, we are, but I would like for you guys to migrate over to Rumble.
I'm also going to start up an Odyssey and maybe an Instagram as well. Yeah,
I would like for you guys to maybe participate in the chat over on Rumble as well. I have de-incentivized you guys from commenting on YouTube by removing, for now, the restream live chat that I normally have displayed on the screen because it doesn't capture the Rumble chat, which is, I have to figure out how to integrate that. I'm not really sure if there is even a way to do it. But I'd like for us to at least make an effort. I see that Shadow Wolf and Belko are on the Rumble chat in here. So, but yeah, like maybe make an effort to make it to where YouTube is sort of secondary. I know that's not easy to do. And I've seen a lot of people with pretty popular YouTube channels that once they got kicked off of YouTube, they no longer had the same, reach. And they're struggling, to maintain the audience. But it might be the way you have to go. I've noticed a lot of people have left YouTube actually, and it's actually made YouTube pretty boring. I mean, there are still some, but like the people that I like to watch, the people who are like, you know, kind of like operating more on the periphery, they're not really on YouTube anymore. Or at least they're you know, they're not doing as much content there. So
what I'm thinking we could, what I'm thinking going forward is, ironically, I think that the dating stuff, the red chill cinema, and even the men's rights, like the pure men's rights or men's issues advocacy, I don't think that YouTube cares about that. So anything that has any allusions to current events, I think we're going to have to do on Rumble, and just have some original content that's mainly on Rumble. So you'll just have to bite, if you're listening, you're just going to have to bite the bullet and go and join up in Rumble to get that content, as well as whatever content we can put on YouTube. And it's just simple. I know lots of people have complained that we're a many-headed hydra, but on the other hand, we also haven't been permanently chopped off. So, you know, maybe it's a benefit. So yeah, do sign up on Rumble so that we can bring you the content that, and it's, you know what, it's just simply, we don't know what makes YouTube upset. We don't know. So we have to just be, with an abundance of caution, take off anything that could possibly make them upset, which is pretty much all current events. It's like when I went through the stream that got us the strike, nothing seemed particularly untoward. I honestly think it was just the fact that you guys discussed Joe Rogan that got us on the oh shit, I shouldn't have used that word. The forbidden name.
It's been done. It's been done.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, I think that's basically what got us flagged. And then they just sort of looked for whatever they could do to remove a video that I think had like 52 views on it, because it was unlisted, which is really baffling to me. But whatever, you know, we might get another strike for even talking about this. Who knows? So it's difficult to figure out what YouTube cares about. But for the most part, how long have we been on here? Like 9 years? YouTube has never given us a strike for any men's rights content. I mean, Boggle. Like, just think about that in Boggle. It's always been copyright, one bizarre strike for spam, which I still don't understand. And now misinformation, medical misinformation, after having cited Israeli information about certain procedures that are happening in the world today. So it's just a little weird. It's a weird platform, but I think we can go forward with just keeping the dating stuff here, the men's issues advocacy here, the maintaining frame stuff, anything that just isn't about, you know, modern politics or bodily autonomy in certain medical decisions, and keep the rest of the stuff on a different platform. And it should be okay, and it'll give you an incentive to go to Rumble to get that extra stuff. And, you know, I think I might even considering that Rumble's platform is more liberal, we might have a show that really is more about current events. So it's something I'm thinking about. Maybe I'll pose it to Karen.
I think I was gonna say, I think it's something Karen would prefer to talk about.
Yeah. If we gave her a platform where she's not gonna end up destroying her YouTube channel, she might be interested in that. And she could just go. We could just be like, "Oh, Karen, what are your thoughts on this?" 5 hours later.
Yeah.
And then just end the show, you know. But something like that would be cool. So we have plans. It was a bit of a slap in the face when it happened. And again, it happened for a video that had 50 views. It was unlimited. It was unlisted.
It was less than that. Yeah, it was less than that, because I mean, our unlisted patron only content might get like a dozen, 20 views at the most. So, and it was a while ago too. It was like from, a few weeks back, maybe a month or so. So I don't know. I either the algorithm picked something up and that's what it is, and a human being didn't actually look at it, or one of the patrons reported it, which is unlikely. But yeah, I mean, who's to say? So I kind of think that we might be in, this channel's still really small, and I think we still fly under the radar for the most part, but we may be on, like in the general vicinity. They may be changing their algorithms, and so we might get more post hoc, warnings, because I know we've done, not just after shows, but live shows that have been way spicier than that one. So,
oh yeah,
it's like,
I would honestly have thought we would have gotten a strike for our anti-feminist or pro-men's rights content. Like, I would have thought that was way more spicy, but no.
Well, but the pro men's rights content, I think the reason why it doesn't do it is because I think that by and large, the establishment, sort of attitude is that men's rights is a joke, right? So I think that we're basically just dismissed outright. I mean, therefore not a threat to them. But when you say things that threaten their worldview or the establishment narrative or whatever, I think that's when they get more, testy. But I think that by and large, they don't find that MRAs are like, are at all a danger to them, which is funny because we supposedly represent the establishment. We represent the patriarchy, right? So it's kind of funny, but that's what I think. I think it's basically like, oh, those guys, they're not really, like, MGTOW don't get kicked off either. So, they're just like still making their content, and it's not really an issue. So my suspicion is they think that we're beneath their notice.
Probably. You're probably absolutely right. Okay, so let's get started.
Yeah, let's go ahead and do it. Again, really quick, please, if you haven't already, go to rumble.com, make a quick account. It's easy, and subscribe to our channel, because not all of our content's going to go up here. And maybe if we migrate enough of our people over, we don't have to sweat YouTube's terms and conditions. All right, so we're going to get into this article, but first I have a super chat from Zeranx. He gives us $5 and says, Rumble doesn't have chat on mobile app. Also, super chats are called rants on Rumble. Oh, okay, rants. Cool. That seems appropriate to our interests, that we call them rants.
We could also call them, for some of the people who send super chats, we could call them like occult chanting.
Yeah,
raising the elder gods.
Chants.
Yeah, chants. Okay, all right.
All right, so
that wasn't that funny.
Yeah, it was okay.
I'll try to be more funny in the future.
An attempt was made. An attempt was made. All right, so all right, so we have this article from the Daily Mail, which is always good for something that we could like laugh at and perhaps facepalm over. And it reads, this is the headline: former policewoman, 28, who currently earns £80,000 a month on Onlyfans, says she doesn't have time to date because she spends 16 hours a day on the site and fears men are only interested in her money. So she's worried about gold diggers. Welcome to being a man, lady. So that's the title. Can I just say, are you able to see? I should share my screen so you can see this. I am capturing the entire window, and this is something about Daily Mail that I've noticed. They need somebody to do their website formatting, because it's the worst formatting I've ever seen. Every time it's really bad. You know what I mean? Somebody over there needs to learn how to use Adobe InDesign and fix these fucking websites. It's like, I actually don't hate the Daily Mail as a news website as much as others like Slate or The Guardian. Because sometimes they report on things no one else will, and they're usually stories about men who have been abused or victimized or murdered or raped or whatever by women. But their formatting is awful. Look at do you see this? Do you see this? Do you see where the D in Daily Mail is literally right up against the edge of the window? And all of the type is like, it's like it's all the way on the left, like it's touching the edge of the website. That's not me. I didn't do that. That's the website. That's how it loads up. All of them are like that. So it's like it's a design problem. It's a big problem. Guys, hire someone that knows how to use like somebody who's like can put a little indent. Like you just need like like a half an inch.
Bit of space.
Yes, you can't have it right up against the.
My kingdom for a white space. Okay.
I'm just saying.
Okay. Yeah.
It annoys me so much because I want to be able to ensure that the people that are looking at an article that I'm displaying can see it, but the way that they have it laid out, it's impossible. Like it's impossible. So anyway, I just had to say that about Daily Mail. Do better, guys. Do better. So I'll just get into the article. A former policewoman who earns up to £80,000 a month on Onlyfans has admitted she worries her luxury lifestyle will attract gold diggers. Charlotte Rose, 28, from Essex, spent a year working in the police force before quitting because she didn't enjoy the male-dominated environment. So she doesn't like men. She entered a field that is dominated by men, which is the police force, but she doesn't like that there were all these men there. It's weird. She started modeling when a friend suggested she come along to a test shoot and pose with, see, I can't even tell that word is pose because the line on the P is right up against the edge. Like you can't even see it. A test shoot and pose with glamorous sports cars. And she was quick.
Okay, can I just be, because on my computer we do have a little bit of white space here.
Well,
maybe it would be your computer, but that doesn't make sense. That would mean that they're just formatting it for Chrome. I think I'm on Safari.
I'm on Brave, so I don't.
Maybe it's Brave. Maybe you got to complain.
But this is the only website that does that. It's only Daily Mail.
But also, I have to admit that the way that they've structured their website is, I don't mind it because it's sort of nostalgic. It reminds me of like the late 90s, early noughties. It's just like it's a little blast from the past.
Yeah,
yeah,
right.
I know exactly. Just you got mail.
Yeah. America Online.
Oh man. I like that sort of fail site design. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I just like things that are rough and seem a little bit, slapped together because they feel more honest, to be honest.
Yeah.
Honestly.
I don't know. Maybe it is me. Somebody in the chat said that they're looking at it with Brave, or they see they're using Brave and everything's cleaned up. So I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but I mean, like, Daily Mail's kind of an ugly website anyway. Look at all these ads on the side. You know what I noticed about a lot of these like links on the side here, which is like, I thought we stopped doing that like 20 years ago. Like we go through articles, right? We've done like 3, I think, so far, where it's like, attractive women that are not able to find decent men, and they also hate being objectified. And the Daily Mail will write an article saying, yeah, it's not cool to objectify women in the same article. And then on the side, it's nothing but, this Kardashian's ass is out. Come look at it over here. It's so funny because there's all this like sort of exploitative, like so-and-so's beach bod is out, and they want you to click on it, which is like, oh, okay. Like, obviously you guys don't really care about what you're saying because you're using, the same tactics to get people's attention. Kind of like G4. Okay, but anyway. So where was I? She started modeling when a friend suggested she come do a test shoot and pose with glamorous sports cars. And she was quickly snapped up as a glamour and lingerie model. Charlotte joined OnlyFans at its inception in 2016, but only began taking the platform seriously 2 years later. Now she spends up to 16 hours a day producing content, although she insists her page is tame and not hardcore like a lot of others.
What the hell content is she producing if it's all tame?
Well, it's probably like suggestive cheesecake stuff, but not like, well, you know what? I don't know. I'm honestly, I'm not even going to speculate, because at this point, tame is what's acceptable on Instagram, and what's acceptable on Instagram can be pretty envelope pushing, let's say. So I don't know what she means by that. I don't know what that means, tame. But like, beyond that, what I want to know is, why does it take 16 hours a day to produce content? You're just taking pictures of yourself. I mean, I'm not trying to like, it just seems strange that you would produce so much and take so much time, unless you're like trying to get the perfect shot and it just takes a long time before you nail it. But it seems weird. I'm pressing X to doubt on the 16-hour a day workday, because that's literally like all you do is, you know, produce content from OnlyFans and sleep. I don't know about that. I don't think so. I don't think, especially when people can work their own hours and she's making like this kind of money. I don't know why you would need to like over extend yourself. Or anyway, last year she made 1.5 million pounds through the subscription-based site and was able to treat herself to her dream 265,000 pound purple Lamborghini, pictured here. So, you know, I'm not going to hate on the hustle. You got to do what you got to do. You know, but like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to sympathize with the idea that you're like, oh, I work so hard. So I don't know.
Yeah, this woman's in another realm.
Yeah.
Beyond.
Yeah.
Like, and to be honest, like, I can't believe that people would say, because I constantly get, well, not constantly anymore, but in the past I've been called a grifter, manipulating men to get money. And I'm like, well, you know, I think there are easier ways to get money from men than telling them about all of the issues that they face that many men find humiliating to have talked about. You know, I think there's a lot easier ways to go about making money, like this woman has done. But there are some things that she says later on that I find deeply hilarious. I do hope you read the captions to each of these pictures, because some of them are quite amusing.
Yeah, we're gonna look at some more. Here's another of her in a bikini. So like, I guess this is what she means by tame, and that seems fair, you know. I would say that these are.
You can't even see her nipples. Definitely tame.
Yeah, they're very tame. This isn't like your typical OnlyFans content. That's her when she was a cop, or a tit, as they call it, because she's British, I believe. And her in a dress again. Yeah, pretty tame. What were you gonna say?
Mm-hmm. Well, I was gonna say that this is this might also be selected so it's acceptable to for a general audience
for this website. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I could see like what I'm going to interpret tame as is photos that are highly suggestive but not pornographic. There are probably either no nudes, or they're all tasteful nudes, like artistic nudes, like you know, 1990s airbrush Playboy nudes, where the Playboy magazine would have nudes, but they would be like airbrushed and photoshopped and cleaned up, you know, and they wouldn't show like the same things that, say, a Hustler mag might show. So it could be that. But it might not. It might just be like bathing suits, lingerie, yoga pants, things like that. So my guess.
Let me just. I think that we did get something through our PayPal link, or at least the
Okay.
one that Indoors uses. So I'm just going
Yeah.
to make sure that we talk about that super chat. at some
Yeah,
point.
go. Yeah, that's fine. We can do that now. I mean, I did put a link to the Streamlabs, I believe.
Okay, so this I
It's
think was from a couple days ago.
okay.
Michael O, and this is in reference to the previous really attractive woman who's expressing dating woes.
The one that
He
was
sent
that got
us
all the plastic surgery done. I think that
yes,
was the most recent
$5
one.
Canadian.
Okay.
Yeah, and he says she looks like a kind of alien species you might expect in Deep Space Nine to step out of a vulva spaceship.
She would be the pilot of the Volva spaceship. That's that.
Yes.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The Volvocket. Come on,
Yes,
Volvocket.
the Volvocket. Yes, that's right.
Because it's a vulva, it's a rocket, and it's a pocket.
The Vol vehicle.
And it has a cockpit.
No.
I'm surprised the feminists haven't called out the use of the word cockpit too.
I think they do all the time. They make a joke out of it. Like they do make but it hasn't been overtly attacked, but there was that line and I've heard this a lot. There was that line in, I think it was the Captain Marvel movie that came out in 2018 where she was remembering all of the sexism that she experienced in the Air Force, and there was a guy who was basically like trying to look like Maverick from Top Gun, and he was like, you know why they call it a cockpit, right? And it was like they tried to make him really smarmy, and I was like, that's pretty good. I would have said that. Especially to Brie Larson, but okay. Because it annoys her, not because I have anything for her. So, okay, moving on. Thank you for the super chat. Now I have Zaranx gave us a super chat, and he says Hassan Piker streams for how many hours for his $1 million pad? I don't know. I don't watch him, but that's why like I said, I'm pressing exit out on the whole, like, I work so hard taking pictures of myself thing. First of all, I also don't think she does it on her own, because some of these photos, obviously someone else is taking her picture. It may be a boyfriend, it may be a girlfriend, who knows. But anyway, let us get back to the article. Oh, there's another picture. This feels like an ad for her OnlyFans now. They just keep, this is what I mean, see lingerie? I mean, yeah, it's pretty tame. But now, if it, like 30 years ago, this would have been like really edgy, but it's really nothing now. The 28-year-old said she isn't dating, but hopes to one day find love and start a family. Charlotte said, quote, I don't really socialize as I'm always working, so I don't really meet many new people. I don't check my message requests on Instagram, as I just get thousands of them and would never get through them. So there are clearly people who are interested, but she doesn't have the time. The only time I chat to guys is on OnlyFans, and most of them are faceless, anonymous guys. And the ones who do send pictures, I always wonder if I'm being catfished, and it's really them. So if she does get a picture from a man, she doesn't know, or she doesn't believe that that's possible. And so that would suggest to me that those men, the pictures that she's getting are of men that are like too attractive. Maybe she's getting the Giga Chad meme guy. You know what I'm talking about, Allison?
Yeah, I know.
The Giga Chad guy? Okay. But it's possible that he was reaching out to her. He may be a soft core, cheesecake photo shoot enjoyer, as opposed to a boomer. So anyway, I've been so focused on working that I never really thought about dating, but I wouldn't say no if the right person came along. A picture of her and another one. Yeah, this seems par for the course of what I would have expected. Man, Is this an ad?
It's an ad.
For her? Yeah,
Yes,
this is
I
an
think it's
ad
an
for
ad.
her OnlyFans. Okay.
Did you pay for this? Like, did you like hit this up for Daily Mail?
No.
Let's do some
No,
product placement here.
No, I just laughed at the headline.
No, no,
It
no,
was
no, no,
like,
no, 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 no. I know
oh,
you did. I'm
her.
saying, did
Her.
she? Did
Yeah,
she?
right.
Did she grease some palms at like, or not even just like apply at Daily Mail? I have a product I'd
Yeah.
like to get a puff piece written on, and that
Yeah.
product is my OnlyFans account.
Yeah, yeah. This is hard work, guys. You're looking at the products of really hard work. She shared concerns about her high earnings, saying, quote, I do worry with the cars that I have that a guy would look at that and be like, jackpot, I get to drive supercars and luxury cars every day and live in a big house. But I'm a pretty good judge of character, so I feel I would be able to spot those types of guys. I can definitely see myself dating in the future. I think in the next couple of years, once I've really got myself set for life, I can calm down on the work from what? Let me read that again. I think in the next couple of years, once I've really got myself set for life, I can calm down on the work from and focus on me time. That's a strange sentence. And I guess with
Also,
that, a guy may come.
How much? Okay, but here's the other thing. If you get yourself set for life, are you going to be able to deal with the fact that you probably are instinctively or socially wanting to get a man to take care of you? Like, where do you go from that? You're already afraid of ending up with a man who you take care of.
Yeah.
So have you dealt with that in your mind? I mean, this is the advice I'd give her, is that she, when you want to settle down, you're going to be your own worst enemy, because there's a part of you that's going to want to be taken care of. It's why you're talking about trying to avoid gold diggers now, which really is ridiculous. So are you going to be able to successfully deal with that part in order to have a real relationship? Or are you just going to end up in a relationship with somebody who, doesn't like, I mean, who the hell would she choose? I guess a trillionaire or something, a billionaire?
Yeah, well, that's what I was thinking about. It is
because a billionaire is
Go
not going to want a woman necessarily who's this old, who's waited to have children. Like, he may want a woman who will be able to have children. And hasn't waited. Like the whole thing with the older woman who was upset that men are now looking at younger women than her. She may encounter that problem. But the way that she's approaching this, she's already sort of condemning any man who has an interest in her. And I just wonder, I mean, that's not going to translate. Like, if she does get a relationship with a guy who isn't like a billionaire, and then the other thing is that regardless if he's a billionaire, he's not able to give her that sense that he is the one providing for her, because she will at that point be set for life, right? So she doesn't need him as a provider. Is she capable of handling that? Or in a relationship, even with a billionaire, will she become resentful, passive aggressive, engage in this relationship destruction, which is what a lot of women term emotional labor?
Yeah.
Will she create a whole bunch of hoops for him to jump through? Will she make herself a misery to be around? That's the question. And this is why a lot of guys don't want to be with women who make more than them.
Yeah.
They aren't able to fill that role in women's mind of provider. It's because when they can't, there is a resentment in those women who haven't actually spent the time to deal with it. And it's not easy, because there are instincts behind it. There's social expectations. Like, if you are a woman who is a provider, or you're with a guy who doesn't provide as much as supposedly he should, unless you're in like in more of a circles that are poorer or more lower middle class, where both men and women are generally providing for their families, you get judgment as a woman. People will judge you for choosing a man who doesn't provide, even if he provides in many other ways, even if he's supportive, even if he does everything else. People will judge you. So you got to be able to deal with that. And I can see that she's putting herself behind the 8 ball with her concerns about gold diggers, which really come out of nowhere, but whatever. So again, is she going to be able to handle a life in which a man can't occupy the role of provider in her mind? That's what she's getting. That's the kind of life she's going to end up with. And will she be able to sustain a relationship with a man who can't occupy that role? And no man can. Once she's earned enough that she's set for life, there's no man on earth that can make her unset for life.
Yeah, well, she is in a very tricky situation because, well, it depends again. Like, if she's looking for a man that is going to take care of her, it's going to be nearly impossible. And if she does, let's say
impossible.
Yeah, it's going to be impossible unless the man is far more, secure than she is. But even, because she doesn't really, like, what is she, what can she look for in a man that she can get from the man and appreciate from the man that is not material? Because in terms of the material, there's nothing any man can do. I mean, she buys purple Lamborghinis. So like there's nothing like that she can get. So she needs to find something else. She needs to find, like, what is it that a man can give me that isn't material? Now, on the plus side, if she does that, that work, that introspection, she may discover that, there are qualities that men have outside of the material that are unique to men that she could, then not just
appreciate,
receive, that she can appreciate, but also it could even make her better. It could even make her a better person. If a good man, I think, can bring out good qualities in a woman if they're open to it. And their ego isn't an obstacle for them. So, I think she's in a tricky situation. The other thing is that I do also believe there is something to be said for a person who builds their capital or their wealth or worth over time by like training or learning a new skill and then capitalizing on that and building a business or whatever, and someone who becomes rich overnight and because of some genetic quality, like in her case, right? She decided to do a little photo shoot and then saw that a lot of people find her really attractive, so she capitalized on it and started making a ton of money. But the person is likely still the cop that she was before, or whatever it is she was going for, because apparently she wasn't happy with the environment at work as a female cop, that it was just too many men around or whatever. So I wonder if her personality and her maturity and things like that are not necessarily well suited for her status. You know what I mean? Like, she has this recent newfound incredible wealth and status, and she's doing what a man might do in that situation, buy a house, buy a car. But when men do that, they do that to attract women. I mean, they like that stuff, but I think that there is a component of the girls are going to like this. It's not just I like this, although that is part of it. But maybe the reason why men like that stuff is because they're, subconsciously they know that it might attract women as well. And she's doing all the things that a guy might do, but men don't really take interest in women for these reasons. Women may take interest in men for these reasons, though. You know what I'm saying? Am I just not making sense? You're muted. I don't know if you know that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, something that occurs, and this is harking back to a bit before, so I apologize if I'm you know, like
If you're
just
what?
going in a completely different direction. Well, she already is concerned. Like if she had done the work of figuring out what she wants from a man separate from being a provider. And again, once she is genuinely set for life, she's never going to be able to have a man occupy the role of provider in her life. It's just not going to happen, because even if he's a trillionaire, even if he has all the money in the world except for hers, she has enough to provide for herself. She's set for life. So no man can occupy that. But at the same time, as her focus on trying to avoid male gold diggers suggests that she hasn't made the effort to figure out what she'd want from a man separate from being a provider. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like if she had said, you know, I want these qualities, and him being a provider is of course going to be irrelevant because I'm going to be providing for myself. I'm going to be making my future set. Okay? If she knew what qualities she wanted outside of being a provider, I don't think she'd have a concern with a so-called gold digger. Because she'd know what she wanted and she would get it.
Yeah.
And that would be fine. That would be what she is getting out of the relationship. Now, whether or not she's also supporting him would be, I guess, another matter entirely. Also self-supporting. Yeah. But this obsession with trying to find somebody or a man who only wants her for his money, or only wants her to be a provider, suggests that she hasn't really done that work, is what I'm saying. Because it wouldn't matter, I don't think. Like if she knew what she wanted out of a man aside from being a provider, it wouldn't matter if he was expecting her to provide for him, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be like, okay, well, if that gives me more leverage to get those qualities, then let's do it, you know? But like I said, I don't think, and I also don't think it's likely that she has done this introspection, because nobody in our society tells women, you know, maybe you should look to your own attitudes and expectations to figure out where your life is going to end up. You know? Yep. Because often that's where ironically, I think the only thing that has ever done that for women is that The Secret. Oprah's The Secret. Maybe The Secret of the Secret.
The Secret, yeah.
Maybe The Secret of the Secret is that it makes women take responsibility for their intentions and their expectations and what they're putting forth into the world. You know, if it does have any ability to do anything at all, maybe it makes women like her think about what it is that they want, the expectations that they have, and the kind of effort they're putting into the world. You know, maybe it's women's philosophy of agency. You know, men had I don't know, they had like the Morris Moranum, like the, and then they had like you know, chivalry, and also like Italian Renaissance humanist civic duty, and women have The Secret.
Yeah.
Maybe that's their way of contending with the idea that they have agency in the greater world.
Just ask the universe.
But
all right.
Ask it. But okay, you have to give The Secret this. Yeah. It says that, for example, to use an example of a married woman who upset with her relationship, she read The Secret, and then she started to do the little kind gestures that she wanted to see from her husband. She paid attention to his day, so she'd ask him how his day was going and how he was feeling. She'd do the little kind gestures. She'd make the effort to communicate with him during the day, and then suddenly their relationship improved. And she was like, oh, it was because of The Secret. No, it's because you finally took responsibility for the real emotional work of your relationship, which incidentally, if you're talking about emotional work in terms of manipulating your partner into doing something, that's not emotional work on your part.
Yeah.
That's
the thing that's the thing that's kind of funny about it, because it does, if you behave in accordance with the, you know, what The Secret recommends, you actually do take charge of your life, and you move towards what your goals are, and it does alter things, but it's not like there's some energy out there that's doing that. It's you doing that. And the funny thing is that Christianity is very similar, but it's often like, you know, people who are down with The Secret are often critical of, you know, things like Christianity, even though it does the same thing. If you believe in, you know, in, I don't know, like whatever your behavior is supposed to be, 10 Commandments, whatever, and then you start acting that way, then, you know, you do move towards your goals, and you do make the world better, but it has to operate at the bottom level. I mean, it's like what Tolkien said, you know, about the hobbits. But anyway, so let us continue with the article. So she says, I think in the next couple of years, once I've really got myself set for life, I can calm down on the work and focus on me time, right? I definitely want children, but I don't feel too much pressure to settle down just yet, as in this day and age, women have children much later on in life after successful careers, so that currently isn't too much of a worry.
Okay. I do worry with the cars that I have. The guy would look at that and be like, jackpot, I get to drive supercars and luxury. So she's already setting this up as a zero-sum controversial kind of thing. And the thing is that when men do this, when men earn, and this is why it's really men are the ones who really produce society and civilization. When men earn, and to the degree that this woman has, and they're able to have these resources, they don't express resentment over being able to provide those resources to their wife. Now, they might express resentment over potentially losing half of their resources to their wife, but she's literally saying, I feel resentment towards any man who's going to enjoy the use of my resources. Really? No man would say that. Most men want to be able to provide as much as they can for their wives. And this is the real difference between men and women, especially in our society. Like she's already framing it in terms of, I have all these resources. And isn't it awful, the idea that any partner that I love would ever enjoy them? It's like, what kind of resentful shit is that?
Yeah.
And right there, you can tell she's not, like, she's going to hit the wall. Hopefully she'll be set by then. And then she'll probably be writing articles about how men her own age or older don't want to date her. They're all going after younger women with probably better attitudes, or at least, you know, more functional wombs. So it's like, you can already tell she's setting herself up for failure right there. Like, who goes into a relationship being resentful that their partner is going to be able to enjoy the resources that they have? Like, seriously.
Yeah. And also, when men accumulate resources, one of the reasons why they generally don't have that attitude that you're talking about is because they're doing it for the purpose, in most cases, of attracting a woman and starting a family. So the guy knows that he's making an investment already, right? So he's like, well, I'm going to make this much money. I'm going to put this much aside. I'm going to do these things to essentially lift up my social status so that I can meet, you know, women that are worthwhile, and maybe go on some dates, and then see if one of them is wife material, and then marry her, and then have children with her, and then my resources that I've been building all this time, I'm okay with sharing that with my wife and my children. That is what the average man does. That's what the average man wants. So he actually enters into, you know, the workforce or the business world or entrepreneurship or whatever with the express intent of starting a family and using his earnings towards that. So it's already an investment, right? He saves up so his kids can go to college. He invests in their future. If he's able to, he will, you know, invest in their education so they get the most out of it and they're not going to public school. And he makes sure that the wife and kids are comfortable and they are fed and they are clothed and all of that. So I think that most men, and I mean, this is just, you know, some people might say that it's not fair, or there are plenty of men that don't do that, and I don't disagree. But I think the average man, because we have to talk about the average man, that's ideal for him. He wants to secure his children, make sure that they are safe. He needs somebody to help him start a family, and he wants to invest in it, and he wants to secure his legacy. And so that is, I think, what most men, and that's not a tradcon position, that's just normal. Most men want to do that. Now, but the thing is interesting is that women, like this woman, all of her wealth isn't going towards that. Because she's suspicious of men that might be interested in her. So she's already like, well, I don't know if I want these guys to be close to my money. And she's also making these kind of like extravagant expenditures, like, oh, I'm buying a purple Lamborghini. I mean, I get it. If you have the money and you want to buy it, I'm not going to hold it against you. But it makes me think like, her whole thing is, well, I'm not ready for kids yet because women in general are waiting. So I get the sense that, like, so are you like not intending on using any of your resources to invest in children should you want a family later? Is that not a priority in your mind? Or are you thinking, well, this isn't their money, this is my money? Because I think that in general, it seems like men, they can be protective of their resources because they feel like they earned it. But at the same time, I think that most men are like,
only a divorce, really.
Yeah, during divorce, right? Because they don't want the woman to just take all of his shit, and who knows if she's going to invest it in his kids, right? But I think there is a distinct difference, and I don't know. I don't know what to call it. I don't know if it's because women don't think about the future in that way. They don't think about things like legacy. They don't sweat whether or not their kids, because if they're in a family with a man, they probably would. But if they're single like her, I don't know. It's kind of like a bachelor. What do we think about bachelors that, don't marry and they just like acquire a tremendous amount of wealth and they just keep it to themselves?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's their own business. But on the other hand, like, and it's her business too. But bachelors remain bachelors. It sounds like she wants a relationship. At the same time, as she's already setting herself up to see the relationship in zero-sum terms. And again, I just want to point out that, like you were saying, to reiterate, men don't think this way. Yes, they want to protect their assets in a divorce, but when they're married to the woman, in general, gaining those assets and resources is in order to get married and provide them to your wife. So that different kind of mentality. I mean, the stark gap between her attitude and the attitude of the average man is probably why Western civilization is unraveling now, in part. Well, a good part of it. Because when you give women the opportunity to gain along the meritocracy metric that makes men attractive, like makes men fulfill that provider role for women, you destroy relationships ultimately. And it's not because it's that a lot of, somebody listening to me would say that, oh, that's such a traditionalist point of view. Yes, because traditionalists understand how women think. They think like this woman. This woman has probably made it so that she is completely unmarriageable. And not because a man wouldn't want her, but because she has constructed for herself a psychological oubliette and shoved herself into it. Because she still wants a provider. And she'll never get one. So she has made herself marriageable, not because she's made money and not because men wouldn't find her attractive, because they probably would, and they probably also would enjoy her money. Okay? There'd be plenty of men who'd be fine with all of that.
Sure.
And feminists, like, don't listen to feminists when they say, oh, it's because of men. It's not. It's because she hasn't resolved this in herself. To her, a huge part of what is attractive about men is that a man can provide for her and make her feel safe. And that's part of the beast. Like, it's part of being female psychology. And she has not addressed that. She probably doesn't even want to recognize it. Instead, she offloads it onto this sort of paranoia of gold diggers. And that's what I'm seeing. And until she resolves that, she's made herself unmarriageable because no man will be acceptable to marry. Like, honestly, if she had remained a cop, like this female cop, if she had remained that way, she'd probably we'd be more marriageable than what she
Yeah.
is now.
Yeah.
And not because men are more likely, or maybe men would find her more likely. I mean, the woman on, like, if you look at the picture of a cop, the woman on the left is
Oh,
she's
go
not
back up to the
overtly
cop.
sexual. Yeah, she's not
I'm
overtly
scrolling.
sexual, but on the other hand, you're not necessarily going to share her sexuality with 10,000 other men.
Well, to be fair, these British cop uniforms are the most unflattering things ever. But yeah, they look like robots. I think that's on purpose, though.
Yeah,
So.
but the point is that whatever she's got under there, mostly only her husband will see.
Mm.
So it'll be just you and her. Now, the woman on the right or the left or whatever it is, you're going to be sharing that with a whole bunch of other men. And I mean, if that gets you off, that's fine. But there again, that's another subset of men. Yeah, but that's another small subset of men that she's going to attract. Like, you can't get away from that. When you put your ass on OnlyFans, you are going to only be attracting. You are now cutting off a good segment of the male population for the very simple reason that they don't want to share your sexuality with, a couple 100,000 other men. Okay, there's nothing special anymore about it. There's nothing as unique. Unless you have a super secret, like, sexual technique in the bedroom or something, every 10,000 other men, 100,000 men is right. Well, you got nothing unique. And some guys, that's going to turn off a lot of guys, especially guys who want their sexuality to be more private, which generally are men who like to pair bond. There's sort of a distinction there. Guys who want to pair bond are a bit more private in their sexuality than guys who are just like, whatever goes. And then you're going to exclude those men right off the bat.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And it's just a reality. You are making money head over fucking fist, and there are costs to that. Otherwise, everybody would be doing it. So you have just made yourself less marriageable. In fact, you have made yourself unmarriable until you deal with the fact. Just about unmarriable. Well, I mean, she could potentially listen to a podcast like this, take this to heart, and really think about what she can find desirable in a man aside from him being a provider. Because she's never going to get that now.
Yes. That's what I was saying in the beginning. She needs to find another way to value men. I brought up the Bachelor thing because I know that we don't do it now, but we used to historically think of a man who was a bachelor, especially if he's like, a higher earning one, to be selfish because he's not using the resources that he earned to provide to a wife and children. And I understand why we had that attitude. I mean, I don't personally agree with it. I believe that people should be able to do whatever they want, but I understand where that came from because it was basically this idea that that men and women both had a duty to society, and men's duty was to, essentially like achieve like his potential and then use that to attract a woman and start a family because the idea was that, if you keep having kids in this society and all that, then it's better for society, especially if you raise those children to love their society and want to continue to contribute, right? So there is this is why I think the word faggot was created to talk about gay men, because the idea was a faggot is a burden. It's a bundle of sticks. It's a burden. Therefore, gay men are a burden on society because they don't start families, right? So that was, I think, where that comes from. And what, whether or not you agree with it is irrelevant. I'm just talking about where I think it comes from. But what's interesting is that this woman is effectively a bachelor that is high earning, but no one is saying, well, you got to do something with this. You can't just covet a bunch of money like some kind of dragon laying on a pile of gold. because eventually you're not going to be able to have kids, you know. And I think that I don't know if she's feeling that pressure because she's not a man, but I think that that's what is interesting about this dynamic, is that she is a high status, wealthy bachelorette, and she wants a relationship. And, you know, Allison's already said everything there is to say about that. But like culturally and societally, we are more or less indifferent towards whether or not she has a, you know, a duty to find a man and all of that. And instead, we basically just say, you go, girl, get yours. And if she has a trouble finding a man, then it's the men's fault, you know? Because I bet that this article, if it blames anyone, it's going to blame men for.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, we don't know for sure, but like I said, this is one of the reasons why society is unraveling. Is because if women insist on selecting men for this particular factor, which is their ability to be a provider, and men are unable to provide, then you've constructed a society, or you can't unable to provide to the degree that women feel like they're actually protecting them with their money, which is impossible with this woman. Then you are essentially destroying your society's future by reducing the pair bonding or the ability to pair bond. And I'm not saying that she is herself unmarriageable because of her money or even her profession, because I'm sure she can find a guy who would be okay with it. Might be very difficult to find one who can form a really intimate bond, but whatever. The reason why she's unmarriageable is because she hasn't addressed what she finds desirable and what she wants in a man. And what she finds desirable and what she wants in a man, she will never find unless she does the work to figure out something beyond a man being a provider. And our society is going to collapse in on itself in that sense as well. I mean, as she has made herself unmarriageable, our society has made vast swaths of women unmarriageable and men unmarriageable. And that eventually is going to come home to roost. You can't just import immigrants who understand how to construct relationships. That there's a limit to that, especially since you're essentially chasing, like, you're bringing in what the resource that we're bringing in by bringing in immigrants is successful pair bonding, but a couple generations and they're no longer able to practice it anymore because their cultural traditions that encouraged it are gone. So you just have to keep importing more and more immigrants, and you have more and more dead weight that isn't producing anything, like in terms of family or pair. And you know, that's like, nobody has an obligation to do this in the context of a society that doesn't support it. To be honest, I don't agree with. I don't agree that we all have an obligation to have children and get married. I think that if a society wants to perpetuate itself, it needs to attend to the work of making that an attractive proposition and making sure that women's desires are consistent with what the average man can attain in his life. Through, and it's not even like, this is not even prescriptive, this is not even, this is an argument. The most successful societies and our own society in the past, when it was successful, made sure the greatest number of men were as attractive as possible to the greatest number of women. And that constructs in a successful, innovative powerhouse of a society. And when you stop doing that and you start importing that from other nations, you're on the way down. And there's no moralistic argument to that. Like, pair bonding is a huge driver, and all of the reproductive instincts around men becoming reproductively desirable are a huge driver for building, maintaining, and protecting society. When you get rid of all of that, you're hamstringing your society. And that's what we're doing. And we see this encapsulated right here. She wants a provider. No man ever will be a provider for her. Therefore, she's probably not going to get married. She's probably not going to have children. And this is played out in lesser, like with women who earn less or are on welfare all the time.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. back to the article. I'm going to go down to the next part.
I wonder if anybody understands what the hell I'm talking about.
No, they do. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know what kind of reaction you would need to know that people get what you're saying, but I don't think that you're going to get it because people are in the live chat and there's a delay and, so, okay. Charlotte, is that her name? I wasn't even paying attention. Charlotte said her ideal date would involve being swept off for a luxury holiday or just enjoying a simple takeaway. I guess takeaway is another word for takeout in the UK. So, okay. So like a luxury holiday, again, no man is going to be able to give you what you can't give yourself already. So I don't see how that's possible unless it's like, someone like Elon Musk and he probably
going in Mars.
Yeah. And you're like, yeah, I'm going to take you on a trip to Mars, and knowing, guys that are that loaded, they're probably going to be a lot more selective. So, and then like enjoying a simple takeaway sounds like, oh, look, I'm actually kind of humble. It's like, I don't know. I don't even think it's just that men are intimidated or anything like that. Although I think that if they were, it would make sense. She goes on, in an absolute dream world, my ideal date would be some isolated beach in the Maldives or somewhere candle lit next to the ocean. Oh my God, so gross. Like, do you realize what you're asking for? I mean, come on. In the real world, probably McDonald's Big Mac and strawberry milkshake. I don't buy it. I could see like a guy at her door. He's like, I got $20 and sky's the limit, up to $20. We're going to go to McDonald's. I'm sure she'd go with him. I'm sure she would. I mean, like, I know that she's saying that for the interviewer, but come on, lady. Like, you don't really believe that. Despite OnlyFans being known for saucy content, Charlotte insists her page is relatively tame. Picture of her, another one, got her hair did, and another one. Everyone assumes OnlyFans is just porn. Yeah, only because it's mostly porn, which I have nothing against, but personally I don't do that level of content, she said. My page is very tame, but it works because I'm niche. So many pages are hardcore, but I won't do that. I like my page to be different. I'm not like other girls, says all other girls. I'll role play and talk to the camera as if it's a guy and cover some fantasies, but it's mostly me talking to them. Okay, so there is something, a little bit sexual going on. It's just not overtly. Yep. So, well, that's also going to turn men off because like that, that's what the pattern. I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but we've done like 3 or 4 articles now. And the pattern is girl is on OnlyFans, can't find a man. Wonders, never asks herself, might it have something to do with the fact that I'm on OnlyFans? Like, because there are, you ever notice that whenever there is a OnlyFans, like a story comes out where a girl has an OnlyFans and her boyfriend or someone who she claims is her boyfriend essentially manages her page, takes her pictures, doesn't participate in any of the activities, that she engages in for her audience. And then that man claims, oh, look, she's sex work is real work. I'm going to support her. I'm going to help her and all of that. And then their relationship goes to shit. Like they end up breaking up or getting a divorce, or she cheats on him, or he ends up murdering some guy who shows up at her house. I think something like that happened once, or maybe he killed her. I don't remember. But like there are these two sort of mutually exclusive notions. One is that, a woman, you can never tell a woman no to whatever kind of job she wants. As a man, you have to accept her and you have to like support her and you have to like love her unconditionally, even if she wants to essentially sexually exploit herself to her audience for money. And if you can't accept that, then there's something wrong with you. Obviously, it's always on you. But if you endure that, you're going to be suffering because, if a man, basically because men are the gatekeepers of commitment, if a woman is sharing herself with other men, that commitment seems to be a little bit thin, and men want, they want their side of the deal to be upheld. And this seems to be a gray area for them. And there's a not insignificant number of men that don't know how to say, you know what? No, I'm not doing that. Because, I have self-respect or whatever. And I think that that's what her problem is that she has an OnlyFans. And even though she's not unattractive, she's not necessarily doing pornographic content, she has good money, she's having a hard time finding a man. And part of it is because her standards are probably too high, but also if she does find a man of quality, he might be like, yeah, I don't like that you have an OnlyFans though. And then she might be like, well, I'm not changing that, It's not
just her standards are too high, because that's the usual cant. And I think it's too superficial. I mean, I want to go deeper. I always want to go deeper. I want to get deep into the meat of the matter, right? Just like a Volvocket going into the deeps of space. That actually, symbolically, that's just a little weird, like a vagina going through the envelope of the atmosphere, like a vagina within a vagina. All right. Anyway,
that's what a black hole is.
Yeah. Okay, so I think it's more than she has standards that nobody can accommodate. It's that she hasn't addressed what she finds attractive in men. I mean, that's really what it means when you say that women have their standards are too high. Well, yeah, it's because she hasn't looked at what's really going on in herself and what she truly finds attractive. And when women have the ability to be what they used to find attractive in men, like 50 or 60, actually maybe more like 80, would it be 80? I guess it would be like 70, 80 years ago. A man who worked as a gas station attendant could probably find a wife. Think about that.
Sure, of course.
Which meant that woman had how many men that could be sexually desirable to her. Think about that. Like if you look back in history, if gas station attendants could have a wife, then every man in that particular income bracket would have been attractive to that woman. Then she could select for things like whatever physical features that she prefers, whatever personality traits that she prefers, from a wide variety of men. Think about it, right? And it's all the way up to the top, and that was years ago. So women would have been surrounded by desirable men, enough desirable men that they could select for other factors besides being a provider. Okay? But now that, like, for example, this woman is an extreme example. She will never be able to find a provider because she can provide everything for herself. So she's probably stuck on that one criteria that will never be fulfilled. So it's a self-destruction, essentially. And it's a self-imposed self-destruction because she's never going to go back and say, okay, what are the other factors? And women didn't have to do that 70 years ago because most men were able to occupy that provider role. They were able to be reproductively fit in the eyes of most women 70 years ago. So, I mean, you can say that that's like the dark age, but think about it in other terms. Could you imagine if you're a woman and you're one of those women who thinks that there's no good men out there? Could you imagine living in a world like that, where almost every man is a prospect for you and you are able to develop a sense of sexual desire and reproductive interest in a significant cross-section of the male population? I mean, it would basically be raining men. That's what we had in the 40s and 50s. It's raining men. Hallelujah. Remember that? And now what is it? It's a complete desert. And it's not a desert because these guys went anywhere. It's a desert because they can no longer fulfill that primary expression of reproductive fitness, which is being a provider for various reasons. And this is the worst example, because this woman will never need a man to provide, and she will never question what she desires in men. So she will sabotage every relationship she's in if she gets in any relationship.
Yeah.
Unmarriageable. And when an entire society goes down this path, it has no future.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't mean the human race doesn't have a future, folks. I'm not a nihilist. But until we attend to the issue that women don't desire men because men no longer occupy the position of provider, until we address that, our civilization is going to implode. It's going to unravel, and it's going to implode. No offense. Yep. Like I hope people understand where I'm going with this. Like I know it's like a real big ask to see the steps, maybe.
No, I see it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I don't want to like feel like, I feel like I'm forcing you to be like, I'm putting you on the spot, and you're like, yes, Allison, shut up. It's fine.
No. I understand.
Okay.
I understand. Okay. Xerinx gave us $5 and said, this woman priced herself out of the dating pool and she wants luxurious nights out. Is she waiting for Elon or Jeff Bezos to call? I feel like that may have come through before I made my comment about
everybody is
Musk.
having the same thought. Like I had the same thought as just the moments before Brian said it. I'm like, a woman wanting Elon Musk to take her to Mars? Like, what?
Yeah, right. I can show you the world.
My magical carpet.
I hope you're okay that it's. I hope you're okay that it's shaped like a penis. Okay, so anyway, where was I? I'll roleplay and talk to the camera as if it's a guy and cover some fantasies, but it's mostly me talking to them. It's personal for me, and I've built up relationships with a handful of my fans that I talk to daily and know inside out. So she has like some of the fans that I guess she says she's built relationships with. I assume that she means friendships with, because this is another thing that I wanted to mention. Do you think that a woman with an OnlyFans account and like lots and lots of followers, because if she's making that kind of money, she's probably got lots and lots of followers or fans or subscribers or whatever you want to call it, could she actually build a relationship with one of her subscribers? Well, maybe, I mean, obviously it's possible, but I guess what I'm wondering about, how likely is it? Will a woman with an OnlyFans account have enough respect for a man who is one of her subscribers that she would actually want to date him?
I would think she'd have to be content with his material results.
Yeah.
She'd want some kind of exclusivity. I don't know. It's weird. Like this is post, like this is like a post-civilization, like pre-civilization collapse questions and crap.
Well, that's where we are. I mean, like at least that's where she is, because you know, the thing is, there are a lot of women, young women, millennial women and Zoomer women that are like, you know, they have a massive presence on social media. They have tons of followers. They're considered influencers, the whole nine. They're attractive and they can't find a man. But they have a bunch of fans. They have a bunch of males that follow them on their various social media spaces that are attracted to them, and that, you know, they probably make declarations of love, and they probably send them gifts, and they probably send them money, and they probably like woo them constantly. And of course, none of the women want any of those men. So it's like, but of course they don't. Because the kind of man they want is likely the opposite of the kind of man they attract based on their actions. So it's almost like you know, if you are an OnlyFans thought, you're going to attract men that want to look at OnlyFans thoughts, but you're not going to find like, you know, like the kind of man that you want to build a relationship with. And part of it is because you're probably not the kind of woman that a man who wants a relationship with
Well, let me
will
ask you
want.
something. Let's be really simple, okay? You go back to that picture of the female cop,
Yeah.
really unattractive, and ask yourself, which would you rather marry?
Right.
Like, think about it. Really think about it. Because you know that she has that underneath there. So,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, her uniform is doing nothing for, and maybe she's lost a bit of weight between the two pictures. But, you know, that is underneath there. But which woman would you feel like you could have a relationship with? And, you know, that's
Yeah.
the thing. I mean, these women who go and have OnlyFans accounts need to realize that you're making a lot of money. And when you make a lot of money, it's because you're sacrificing something. And what you're sacrificing is that men you actually want to have in your relationship with won't want to have a relationship with you. You may be able to find a guy, but it is going to be more difficult. And like, honestly, I think if she stayed the copper with her cute little canine companion, she probably would have been wifed up by now.
She probably was, in relationships, and maybe when
Yeah.
I wonder why, she decided to take this road. But yeah, I mean, again, if you want a quality man, you need to be a quality woman. So
Yeah. And I mean, she had responsibilities. She had to actually have a certain amount of compassion and self-awareness, presumably. She had to get out there and do something good for society. Well, what the hell good is she doing now? I guess she's making some guys' lives a bit better, which is not, I'm not going to say that that's a bad thing. But like, the fact is that I know people, I guess women think when they become so attracted to so many men, they improve their prospects, but I think it's the reverse. I think if she would actually if she wants to become a wife, to have kids, she would have been better off in her previous humble role. And to be honest, I think she'd be doing a lot more, really, in that role as a cop and the wife and mother, and putting emphasis on that and being happy with that life. I think she'd be doing more for society and for people than this.
Yeah.
But there's this huge allure for fame and feeling like you're so attracted to so many men. But really, how many men do you need to be attractive to? Like, I'm happy. I got my husband. I'm attractive to him, and that's good enough.
Yeah, it reminds me of a line.
Go ahead.
It reminds me, well, I was going to say, it reminds me of a line from Hellboy 2, The Golden Army, which is a good movie, where I think it's his girlfriend says to him, do you really need everyone to love you, or am I enough? Because, he wants to be loved because he's like this monster, and, he doesn't feel like human beings. They're all afraid of him. But the sentiment makes sense because I've actually seen this. It's kind of a problem. It could be a product of modernity or whatever, but it seems like people mistake fame for
love.
For love, yeah. They mistake fame for love.
And it could be about money, but if it wasn't just about money, then he needs to fear of others. Because, if I were in her position, I'd be like, I got money and men are going to be after me for my money. And I'm going to leverage that into improving my options or something. Like, just be okay with it. But she isn't, and she seems like she's deeply uncomfortable with her life. The other thing I wanted to say is what you described about the Golden Army, about am I enough for you? That's probably the biggest reason why a lot of men, and it's not about, sexual, it's not even really about sexual jealousy. I mean, it is, or envy, or feeling insecure. It's about a lot of men are going to look at attention gets and say that to themselves. Am I going to be enough for you? And that's going to create an incredible why a lot of men are not even going to bother. Like,
Yeah.
and women like to hide behind the. It's because men have fragile egos, whatever. But often it seems like men opt out of relationships with certain women simply because they feel like they won't be able to provide enough money, enough love, enough attention, enough whatever she expects. And they're just like, I can't measure up. And feminists will call that insecurity. Is it really though? I mean, it is an insecurity, but is it like something that you can really mock and dismiss as being irrational or wrong?
Is it completely unjustified?
Is it completely unjustified? And the answer is no. And that's what she's like, by doing this, she's creating many hugely high bars for any potential mate to jump. He's got to be able to, well, first of all, he can't provide for her because she can provide for herself. He can't occupy that role. It's already filled. How is one man's sexual attention going to compete with hundreds of thousands?
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
It's just not. So, it's like, it's a self-sabotaging situation. And again, you can blame it on men, but is it really that unreasonable? I mean, if you were a woman and I don't know, I guess you were dating a rock star who had like a seething mass of women throwing their panties at him wherever he, would you not feel slightly insecure?
Yeah.
And shall we just call that like female toxic femininity?
Female fragility, toxic femininity.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I mean, I agree 100%. Okay, so we got some super chats, and Michael O said that he sent you something through PayPal. So maybe you should bring that up. And we're almost done with the article as well. So I'll let you do that first. And then I'll read the super chats. Again, guys, right. if you're new, Jonathan Doman sent us a super chat through Rumble, which is just, or a rant through Rumble, which is just a smiley face for $5. Thank you, Jonathan Doman. Okay, I just wanted to, because otherwise I'll forget about that.
By the way, guys, we get 75% of whatever comes through Rumble, I think.
Yeah, Rumble is a lot less greedy than YouTube is. So
50% of everything that comes through super chats.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sometimes YouTube takes it all.
Yeah, and randomly too. YouTube is definitely sort of a tyrannical master. Michael O sent us $5 Canadian. It's remarkable how much money is currently being spent on empty services. When you realize that actual goods and services are what creates an economy, not fiat money, could you view Onlyfans as some sort of side effect of our very inflationary society? Yes. Chelsea, I hear, is an effect of Fed overprinting money. I wonder if that'll get us knocked off YouTube to even say that.
I was going to say, that sounds like it's bordering on the political.
Yeah, Charlotte. You can thank the money presses of the Fed for Charlotte.
Yeah.
I'm being a bit facetious. Like, yeah, probably. I think it's, why don't we just finish the article and I'll give you my thoughts on that.
Okay, well, let me finish the super chats then. Okay, so Meredith G gives us $5 and says, "Honey for the Badger, catching this stream late because I had to return to office today." Thank you, Meredith. And then Zeranx gives us $5 and says, it's ironic that if she wanted a relationship and wanted to function somewhat similarly as she does now, she would do better with porn. Maybe, but then like you could get lost in the shuffle if you just did porn, because a lot of girls do porn because they think that, it's going to make them more popular. But then what she has on her side is the fact that her work is pretty tame, because what it means is a lot of the guys in her audience probably want her to do porn, but she won't. So they stick around because they're hoping that, she'll move in that direction. Which, I already talked about this, but it is a trend of things that has happened with girls that are cosplayers or Instagram models or whatever before COVID happened. And I mean, this isn't political, so don't come after us, YouTube, because I dropped the C word. Before that happened, those girls had, like reasonable followings on their various social media accounts. But when the lockdowns and mandates came afterwards, and those girls could no longer leave the home, they couldn't go to conventions, they couldn't go to photo shoots, they couldn't travel, and they were stuck at home. A lot of them did end up going and doing cam girl porn work. And probably it had to do with the fact that they thought, well, I could do this from home and I could make good money. And so they did. But they're also extremely depressed. So there is that. Okay. I'm going to, unless Allison wants to say anything else, I'm going to finish the article off. Did I? Okay.
Yes.
All right. Where was I?
You have my enthusiastic consent.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Good. I know their children's names, their job titles, and if they're having a bad day. And when they are, I'll send a voice note and some pictures of my dogs to cheer them up. I have a loyal fan base who tell me they wouldn't stay on my
ad.
This is, yeah, it sounds like an ad. If
an
I
ad
became
for
more
Onlyfans.
explicit and I do well by being different to everyone else. Other girls are shocked that I earn as much as I do without doing more on camera. I think that's the end. So I think this is at least partly an ad. This is another trick, by the way, that a lot of these women do online, where they will do everything they can. I know you guys have seen this. I think this happened with Pokimane and lots of other of these women that have an online presence, whether they're Twitch streamers or OnlyFans or Instagram or whatever. Is they have like a massive following of men, and then they tell them all that they're single and they just can't find a good boyfriend. And you don't know if they're telling the truth or not, because, I think they're lying a lot of the time, because they're afraid that if it turns out they do have a boyfriend, then they will lose most of their followers, because there's probably a lot of men that follow them specifically because they think they have a chance. Well, first of all, guys, you don't. Just stop. Look for someone local. Stop shooting for the moon. But also, she's probably lying about that. So, but that's just what I think. Okay, that's the end of the article. Alison, do you have anything you wanted to say?
Yes, I do. Okay. Note what the men are actually sort of paying for from her. She's not. She doesn't look like she's had any plastic surgery. She's obviously attractive, but she's not really fake looking. Mm-hmm. She's I'm guessing for what she does, she's a bit more on the plump side, Well,
guys,
she has a
like
nice figure,
like
but she's got a nice figure, but it's cushioned, shall we say? And that's not an insult to her; it's just an observation. And she's attractive, but she's not super like that woman who had all that plastic surgery. She's not inhuman, so she's got this sort of girl next door look, in innocence.
She did a little bit of she does kind of have like a like you said, girl next door thing, but there's like, she obviously for the OnlyFans stuff, she did a little bit of looks maxing, like, oh, I'm gonna without getting surgery, like I'm gonna wear this kind of makeup, these clothes.
She's sculpting her features,
yeah,
with makeup. You can tell she's pretty, and even with the just the photo of her as a cop.
You want to go back to the cop picture?
Yeah, but she the fact is that she's wearing a little bit of makeup as a cop too, but you can see that if she didn't lose weight, that normally without the looks maxing, her face is a little broader. She probably is using a telephoto lens zoomed in so that
she's
it's
English.
Everything looks a little slimmer. So she's doing what she can to appeal as much as she can, but she still has that kind of softer girl next door good looks, right? And she's also paying attention to and caring about her clients, or whatever you want to call them, her fans. So she's having that kind of a personal relationship. And I just wanted to note, isn't it interesting that she's doing so well by retaining a certain amount of modesty, taking a somewhat of a personal interest in her fans, and being kind to them and interested in them, and that men are paying for that hand over fist. Like, if you really want to know what men want, look what they pay women to do. Be kind to them. Pay attention to them. Cheer them up. You know? This, like, 80,000 pounds a month? She must be one of the top producers on OnlyFans, unless there's women who make more.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure there are, but that seems like it would put you in the top.
I'm sure there are, but I mean, like, she's doing very well. I'm sure, I don't know who makes the most, but
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's like, she's doing well, and she says she has a niche. Well, the niche is, and I don't think that much, take an interest in men, be kind to them, care about their feelings. That's the niche. No, it's not a niche. It's like, yeah, that's manology 101.
Yeah, step 1, like men.
Step 1, like men.
Yeah.
Step 2, set aside the emotion.
It's really, it's really funny that that's like not obvious. It's almost like men, like liking men should not be a requirement for women who want to be with men. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's weird that it's actually needs to be said, because it's almost like, well, women like this that don't think that it's necessary for them to like men. They seem to believe, well, he should be lucky that he's even with me, or that I've given him the opportunity to buy me this Big Mac, you know?
Yeah. And you don't even think, maybe, and it's not even for the sake of men, to be honest. I mean, it is for the sake of men, because men should have relationships with women who like them, very least.
Yeah, they should.
Like masculinity.
In theory. Yeah.
But it's also like, why would you want to open your life and yourself intimately to a group of people you don't like? Like, like, why would you do that? You know, I use the example of getting a dog. You know, I really hate dogs. They're smelly. I hate the way they emote. I hate their needs. Oh, they're despicable, and they're horny. They hump legs. They're just ugly, and they don't understand you emotionally, and you have to do so much effort. Oh, by the way, can I adopt a dog from your shelter? I mean, if anybody came in with that line, the shelter employer would look at them and be like, no.
Yeah.
No, I think that I don't think either you or the dog are gonna have fun. I mean, you know, even if you're a first-time dog owner, you gotta sort of want to do it.
Yeah.
You know, you gotta, and I mean, that comes home because, you know, I've never had a dog before, except for a really stupid Cocker Spaniel that was my mother's, and he sort of soured me on dogs. But, you know, like, it's not gonna work. It's just not going to work. Just first, for your own sake, women, for your own damn sake, like men before you date them.
Yes. Yes. Yeah,
and appreciate.
Try that.
You know, like, if you're going to get a dog, you're going to go to a shelter, adopt a dog. Like them on some level, and appreciate that you get to have a dog in your life because you like them. You know, I appreciate my dog, or the dog that I have, our dog. You know, I didn't expect to appreciate him as much as I did, but now that I have had a dog, I can see the appeal of dogs. You know, but I was open to it, you know, and but you know, if you're going to be with a man, step number one, like them. And that would, honestly, if this woman actually sat down and said, I'm either going to accept that I like men, because there's a lot of women in this world that think it's some kind of empowerment to be like, oh, I really hate men, and they don't really, you know. I'll use the example of that woman who shaved head with like all kinds of weird colored hair, and then finally she found a man to give her presumably a good dicking, and then she's like completely changed. She's like trad wife now. You know, I think that she probably thought that it was some kind of act of empowerment, developing a personality to hate men. Well, it isn't. So she could sit down and be like, yeah, you know what? I actually like men. I'm going to be on a podcast about it. You know, or she could be like, you know, if I'm going to be with a man, maybe I should like him. And that would actually go a long way to solving her problem of finding something that she can desire in men other than being a. See how that's all connected? So yeah, step one, like men. And I also wanted to note this is underneath this is a caption underneath the image of her in a bubble bath with a sort of a like a cheetah striped bikini, cheetah spot and black bikini.
Oh, I see it. Yeah, right here.
Charlotte pictured. Sorry, I called you Chelsea. You're Charlotte. Worked in the police force for 1 year, but quit because she didn't like the male-dominated working environment.
Yeah, I read that at the beginning of the article. She said she worked as a cop and then said, "Oh, I don't like this male-dominated work environment." I was like, "What were you expecting? You joined the police force. Like,
also,
you
had a dog
disappointed?"
companion. Didn't you spend more time with your dog companion than like? Isn't it your dog partner like your main companion while you're working? Presumably, if you're like a dog cop. I don't get that. Like but also it's hilarious as she goes from policing to OnlyFans. Like, isn't her work even more male dominated now? Honestly, I mean, you'd think as a cop she'd occasionally come a woman, or there might be female cops around, but now she's completely surrounded by. I don't get it. But the other thing is that that's sort of a bad sign. You know, I didn't like this because it was male dominated. Really?
Yeah.
I mean, really? And then you go into a profession that's even more like you got to sit down and think your thoughts through. You know, figure out what the hell you're trying to say here. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, lady, good luck. I don't know what else to say, but like men, start with that. I got some super chats. I don't know if there's been any new PayPals. You might want to look. Richard Bier gives us $1.99 and says, "Would she be kind if she weren't getting paid?" Good question. I don't know if she's necessarily kind now, because if you're just pandering to your customer base and saying what they want to hear because you want to get their money or continue to get their money, I wouldn't call that kindness. Richard Bier then gives us $1.99 and says, "If she has to be paid for kindness, is she capable?" Well, again, I don't think that's that's the problem with OnlyFans, right? Is that like a lot of the ways that women make a lot of good money on OnlyFans, and I'm sure there are men on OnlyFans too, but come on, let's be real, it's mostly women, is that they make the men who are their subscribers feel as though they have feelings for those men. Like those individual men. It's not just that there's, an element of, self-exploitation where you take pictures of yourself or videos or whatever. But what makes OnlyFans unique from regular porn that you can get anywhere, right, for free, why are men paying for OnlyFans? And I think the reason is not because of the content itself. It's because of the connection that the OnlyFans woman, the woman that has an account, she plays at having a connection to the men. So those men think that this girl, like, remember we did a thing about this before, Allison, where I told you about this guy who was getting, like, he was in a relationship with a woman and he was getting like these personal gifts from the OnlyFans model, or the ethot, or whatever you want to call it. And she was sending him like, a letter saying happy birthday with like her lips, like she kissed the letter and sent it to him. And of course she had no intention of starting a relationship with this guy, but it makes him feel as though, he's special to her. That's what's for sale on OnlyFans. It's the feeling that the woman with an account there makes an individual man feel special. And that's astounding. That's the problem too, because those men are investing in something that they're never going to get anything out of, and it's only going to result in disappointment. And God knows how much these guys spend on these things too.
Honestly, Brian, like, let's put it this way. In many cases, they're not going to get it in their relationship. So, but what's interesting to me is that this is what men want. They want these kind of personal touches. They want this feeling, this girlfriend experience, basically. But they're not getting this girlfriend experience from their wives and girlfriends. So I think probably she has. I mean, there was one guy that we talked about who did have a girl who also pursued these ethoughts. And they weren't doing anything with him. They weren't having sex with him. They were just making him feel special.
Yeah.
I was like, well, they're not getting this from their actual girlfriend or wife.
Right.
Like you could say, oh, well, nothing will ever. But if this is what men want and they're not actually getting it from their actual girlfriends or wives, then dating women is also a waste of money.
Yeah.
Because you probably won't get it either. You might as well just have the e-thought and get that stuff from her. Because you won't get it from a wife or you won't get it from the reason why I think is because a lot of wives and girlfriends, I don't think they like men.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think they appreciate the men in their lives. And I don't think they even know that they have to do this stuff and that this, or not even have to do this stuff, but that doing this stuff would actually like, oh, I'm so disappointed with my husband. He doesn't do these kind, and then she started to do kind gestures to him. And then suddenly he was doing them back. And then their relationship was so much better. You know, women don't realize that often you get what you put in. And you don't necessarily have to do those kind gestures just because you want them back. Maybe you do it because you're kind to your partner. That's an act of love. And then you can get to feel that love. I mean, love isn't something that men inject into women. I mean, maybe in a crude and biological sense, but love is an action that you take for somebody that you care about. And you feel that love when you take the action to open your heart to them and to understand them. And you say that, oh, they're wasting their money because they won't get this, they won't get that relationship. I think it's reversed. They're not getting this stuff in the relationships they have. So whatever they're spending on their wives and girlfriends sounds to me more like throwing it into a black pit than it's that spending it on an e-thought that gives them kisses on letters. You see what I'm saying, Brian?
Yeah.
Like if that's what they want, if they want that attention, even if it's false, and in some cases it isn't necessarily like there are some prostitutes that do care, and this is a genuine care. I mean, I don't know about this woman, but it has happened. And if they're not getting it, if that's what they want from a woman, and they're not getting it from their wife and girlfriend and or girlfriends, but they are getting it when they pay for it from a prostitute, are they wasting money on the prostitute, or are they wasting money on their wives and girlfriends? Mm-hmm. This is a question I think people should really think about, or men should really think. Like, which is the falsehood?
Right.
And if you have a girlfriend who actually does do, I bet she don't pay for an e-thought to do it for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If you have a girlfriend or a wife who enjoys your hobbies with you, who pays attention to you, who doesn't do the whiny emotional labor thing, because everybody who talks about actually talking about being emotionally abusive. Yeah. So like if you have a woman like that, I bet you're not paying for it from e-thoughts. And if you don't have a woman like that, not giving you, if you are married to a woman who isn't giving you that, or who's the waste of money here? The e-thought who gives it to you, regardless if it's false, or the girlfriend who gives you fuck all, regardless if it's true? Mm-hmm. Just a thought experiment. Anyway, I'll leave it at that.
No, I don't disagree, but in my opinion, I don't think they should be fucking with either of them. Like if you're,
I know.
You shouldn't be investing in a woman that is pretending to like you, because you are just throwing, your worth away, and you're worth more than that. Maybe you should work on that. And of course you shouldn't be in a loveless relationship either. So, I think that men in that position should probably get out of all of that and, try to find a way to, find satisfaction in their own life without women.
Live without it? I mean,
I'm not saying Brian, completely, but I'm saying like the problem is a lot of men are extremely hungry for affection. And they're starved for it. And I understand that, right? But I'm saying that in the same way that, a girl who they might be involved with that doesn't make them feel loved is going to be a problem because she's, treating him like a burden, or she's treating him like something on her list that she needed to cross off or whatever, but she doesn't actually she's not an actual engaged partner in the relationship, which makes him feel unloved, and then he gets a desire to seek that out in other women, like OnlyFans, models that pretend, and they play at liking them, but they actually don't. They just want their money. I think that it's exploitative on both sides, and that maybe that man has an issue with he needs to find a completeness from within himself and get away from these people, because that's abusive behavior. I think on both sides of that. And because it is exploitative. I mean, there might be some OnlyFans thoughts that think that, that men are great or whatever, but you're not really going to get what you need from them. You're just going to get the simulation of something that you want, but it's not going to be real. And women, the girlfriends that drive him in that direction, you shouldn't be messing with them either. I think that the man should be asking himself, do I really need validation from these people, or should I be working on this myself in my own way, and then maybe I will meet someone, I will be a better judge of character and meet someone else later on down the line that will love me for who I am, and they will treat me as, someone worth keeping around, or that they want to be around, want to be in the presence of. And I guess that's how I see it. I mean, it's not really a disagreement. Sure. It's more like a yes and, Yeah,
I know. I just want to point out that my bank just told me that they're having an initiative to empower women in this March.
Oh God.
And I'm looking at this and I'm like, well, how do you empower me? That isn't empowering me. That's doing shit for me you don't think I can do for me, which is disempowering. It's such a such a freaking but that's a completely different topic. Empowering would be me telling this woman, well, you steer your thoughts directly at the fact that you see men who provide. You most likely see men who provide, and the reason why I say this is because you have this deep concern about men who aren't going to provide for you, that you might end up with a guy who uses you, which probably suggests that you want to do that yourself. But you look at that part of you that wants a man who provides, realize you are never going to get that now, because there will never be a situation where a man needs to provide for you once you are taken care of. Realize that. And you figure out something else to desire in men and start by liking them. And that's empowering, because I'm giving you steps to improve your life through your own actions and your own self-reflection. And if you want to use the secret, when you put out thoughts about a desirable man who will appreciate the fact that you are able to provide for yourself, when you put those thoughts into the cosmos, the mythological Mother Earth, or Mother Sky cosmos, what we will get back will be someone you find desirable. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Woo, woo, woo. Sparkles, unicorn farts. There you go.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me see. Do I have any super chats here? Yeah, I do. Thunderstorm gives us $4.99 and says, the propaganda hit her hard. That look is chilling after hearing her preface prologue. And then Richard BR gives us $4.99 and says, well, the OnlyFans models have delivered more than Theranos ever did. After all, the pictures are a product, even if it is of dubious value. Yeah, it's true. More than Theranos, that's true. Super chat on Rumble. We got a rant on Rumble from Lone Wolf Logic for $20. Thank you, Lone Wolf Logic. And he writes, glad to see you live on Rumble. Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. That's really nice. Thank you.
All right.
And hopefully we'll also be live on Instagram by Brian. That strangely, the thoughts are strangely respect-free thought. Who knew that?
Instagram?
Paid thoughts, yeah.
I don't.
More,
go ahead.
The paid for thoughts respect free thought more than certain other platforms. That's all I was going to say. I was just going to make some really, really bad. There was an attempt at comedy. Just go ahead. Just save me from myself.
What
Brian.
is she doing?
For some reason, I'm like corn pop is a bad dude.
Yeah.
I don't know why that came out. I just popped out. I don't know the connection.
It corn popped out, is what you're saying.
And Corn Pop was a bad dude. And he ran a bunch of bad boys.
Random.
Corn Pop 2024. All right. So that's it for the stories for this article. Ladies, try liking men. And, maybe everything else will just fall into place. Well, it seems like the recurring theme is like, do you like men, or do you just like, does she think that she wants a man because she likes men and all that comes with it? Or does she want a man because she's like, well, I guess I gotta have one of these, how do you know what I mean? Well, I guess I need that now. I know. I think there's a lot of that. I think there is a lot of that.
Or women want a man because they want him to basically fix, like, the female dating strategy are a bunch of female losers who are incredibly self-righteous about the fact that they're complete losers, and they want a man to come into their life and fix everything about them. So they essentially want a man to be everything that they aren't. And maybe if you just start with liking men, you'll attract a man who wants a woman who at the very least has the strength to like men. Because it does take a little bit of strength in this society to go against the grain and actually be like, I sort of like men. Maybe not all men, maybe not all expressions of masculinity, but I like the type of masculinity that I like. Just like I like the type of chocolate that I like. There's certain types of chocolate I don't like. There's certain types of chocolate I do like. But in general, I would say I like chocolate. You know what I mean?
Good. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. It's tasty.
I don't eat it as much anymore. Now we just do the dark chocolate. Because it's better. It's better for you than the milk chocolate. That's why. So.
Oh yeah, I can't eat milk chocolate. Occasionally I can eat milk chocolate. Get a migraine. But generally I have to eat dark chocolate because it doesn't have milk. Or I get the coconut milk chocolate or the almond milk chocolate.
Yeah, you adapt to the dark chocolate. You adapt.
Improvise.
There are some ways to get it where it's not that bitter. I remember once when I was a kid, when I was very little, and I came across baker's chocolate in the house, and I thought it was a chocolate bar. And I ate a bunch of it, and I felt awful. I thought it was like, wow, this is the biggest Hershey's. It was just, no, baker's chocolate. Don't do it.
See your excitement.
I was like 5, it was dumb. But I blame my parents for leaving it out. So,
leaving it out where you could get it. It's adapt, overcome, eat chocolate. All right. So I just want to remind everyone, if you go to feedthebadger.com and support it, there's many options. You can get a subscription that'll give you access to our community and also to our after show content, and also does a lot to help us out each month to make sure we're able to pay our bills, which is sort of critical. So if you want to help us out with that, feedthebadger.com. If you want to help out and you don't want to start a relationship with us, you just prefer to do a one-time thing, then you can go to our monthly fundraiser at feedthebadger.com/project/badger-media-blitz and throw a few shekels in the hat to support Brian, Prim, and Hannah's work for the month, as well as the general expenses HBR for the month.
Yeah.
All right, back to you, Brad.
All right. So if you guys like this video, please smash like, subscribe if you're not already subscribed, hit the bell for notifications, leave us a comment. Also, give
Subscribe
us a plus.
to all our all of our.
Yeah. I was just going to say, subscribe to us over on our other spaces. We are on, what are we on? D Live. Rumble. Yeah,
D-Live.
obviously. Rumble, D Live, Twitter, and Facebook.
I think you guys still put something out on Minds too, right?
Yep, I put out stuff on Minds, but they're links to on Minds. We're linked to the wherever our videos are going up, and I think I'm gonna make the Rumble link the primary link that I send out because I'd like to drive people away from YouTube and towards Rumble. There's a lot of advantages. I mean, there are some disadvantages, like the live chat thing is not available on mobile devices. So, but like we'll stay on YouTube until like we're permanently removed. But, you know, not all of our content's going to live there. So, all right. And most importantly, share this video. Share the Rumble link. Share the YouTube link if you want. Whatever. But share this video out. We are not going to stop making content if we can help it. So if you haven't seen or heard from us in a while, go look us up on Rumble because that's probably where we've been. All right. Thank you guys so much for coming on today's episode of HBR Dating. Let us know what you guys think about this in the comment section, and we will talk to you all in the next video.
Men's rights activists are machines, dude. Okay? They are literal machines. They are talking point machines. They are impossible to fucking deal with, especially if you have like a couple dudes who have good memory on top of that too. Holy shit, you're fucked.